folks. Today is October 31st. It is 11:02 a.m. And you know what? There is a lot of stuff going on today. Do you guys know that Steve Bishop from VR Roundtable fame is going to be hosting a special live stream about an hour from now? So, right around noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So I believe he is doing a live stream in about an hour. And he's going to be talking a lot about the Samsung Odyssey Plus. He just got his hands on the Samsung Odyssey Plus, I believe, yesterday. And he's ran it through some paces, has some early takes on it, and he is going to do a live question and answer session. It's funny because do you guys know Erwin X? I've talked about this guy, Erwin X, a number of times. Met him on Reddit in the early days of the HTC Vive arriving. I remember back in April of 2016, if you guys were on the Vive subreddit, that's the reason why I have this habit of every day I immediately go to the HTC Vive subreddit. That's the number one thing I look at. And that was ingrained into me as a habit back in April of 2016, probably back in March of 2016, actually March, April, May, the excitement of waiting for the HTC Vive and then finally getting my hands on the HTC Vive. That is the original box back there. And Erwin X was a guy that was always on the Vive subreddit, and me and him kind of started up a little conversation here and there every now and then. And we would have a chat, every once in a while we would talk on Steam or whatever. He just got his hands on an Odyssey Plus and he was trying to install it today, trying to get it up and running. And he's had nothing but nightmare issues. He's tried to get it running on his computer, tried to get it running on his son's computer. He thinks he actually has a bad unit, so that really sucks. But yeah, so people are getting their hands on the Odyssey Plus. Erwin X just got his. Steve got his yesterday, and he will have his thoughts in about an hour from now. Okay, so today is going to be a big show, actually, because we have some legitimate announcements to get into. And as you guys know, I've been wanting to start a new channel for this show, a new name for this show. I've been wanting to do this for the longest time. In fact, when I first started this show, I called it the Daily Vlog Live. And when I made up that name, I thought for sure that basically that was going to be a very temporary name, like Daily Vlog Live, like it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue or anything like that. So I always had this idea that I was going to have a different name for the show and that I would eventually have a different logo and name and all that type of stuff. And it just got waylaid. But about almost 2 years, not quite 2 years ago, but I came up with a name and an idea for the YouTube channel, and I'm not really ready. I'm not really ready to start this new YouTube channel, but I'm gonna start it any damn way. And so basically, I have a finalized logo now, and I'm gonna go ahead and introduce that to you guys. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay, I have to open up all files. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and load this up. VR365. That is the name of the new show. The new show is VR365. VR 333 VR365. Yes, we are going to be covering gaming news and discussion 365 days a year. VR365, baby. Yeah, VR365. And it's so funny. It's really funny because I've been in a number of VR Roundtable episodes where we started to have chat. And there's somebody on YouTube that is named VR365, but it's VR space 365. And I always thought when I saw that, I was like, oh man, this guy's going to think I copied his name. No, I did not copy your name. I just thought VR365. And I was like, I can't believe there isn't a YouTube channel already out there called VR365. I thought for sure. And so I can go ahead and show you guys, this is the new YouTube channel. It is live right now, but it is not finalized. Like, this is not a finalized situation, but VR365 is the name. That is my channel art for now. Made it all myself with the help of having this new logo, obviously. This is the horizontal version of the logo, which is better for that type of stuff, but the real logo is kind of the stacked on top logo. So if you guys want to head over later, we have no subscribers and no viewers for any of these episodes. So later on, I'm going to start loading up old episodes. I've got 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82. I'm going to start kind of loading up old episodes. We are going to go live with the first live stream on Monday. Monday is the first live stream. I believe Monday is November 5th. So November 5th, this is going to be the destination. It's going to be the same time. Of course, we will be after daylight savings time, so it will seem like an hour earlier because daylight savings is coming up. But VR365, the new era hath begun, okay? It hath begun. It is going to be a slow start. I don't have an intro trailer. I still don't have an intro trailer. Just finally got the finalized logo. Now I need to work on an a new trailer for the show. You know, for doing the 20-minute version, a new intro that will pop on. And that is something I have not worked on at all. And probably what I'll have to start off with is it'll probably start off like a very basic intro, nothing fancy, nothing special. And then eventually maybe somebody can help me and it will be a better intro and it'll be kind of cool. I kind of like this idea. You know how that little round thing around VR where it's kind of like flickering, like a light that's coming on and flickering, you know, VR 365, VR 333 you know, something crazy like that. VR gaming news and discussion 365 days a year. VR 365. Yeah, so that's what it is, man. Can you guys believe that by going with this name, I should have gone with the tank top. By going with this name, I'm basically guaranteeing myself that I am going to have to work every single day of the year. Yeah. Anytime I told anybody, like a few people have known about this VR365 thing for quite some time. And, people, the first thing some people have told me when I told them about it is, dude, you're gonna do this every single day, really every single day, because it's VR 365, VR gaming news and discussion 365 days a year. Will I ever take a day off? Hell no, no, no. But I know, look, I'm going to miss a day. I know I'm going to miss a day here or there. And my hope is maybe I could have like a guest host. You know, maybe Epix could host a show for me on a given day sometime. Maybe Gary could host a VR365 episode. Steve, Chris, Noah. No. Could you imagine Noah hosting an episode of VR365? That would be awesome. But yeah, there's going to be some days that are going to be missed. It is what it is. Okay, so yeah, we've got a new logo for VR365, but you know what? I wanted to make myself a new logo for all of the brands, right? And here it is, VR Game Rankings. Yes, we have a new logo for VR Game Rankings. And you got to understand, VR365 is the name of the show. It's the name of the show, but the brand is still VR Game Rankings. VR Game Rankings is the brand. The website is still what it's all about. This is just a show. And I wanted the logos to kind of reflect each other and have kind of a matching thing, because eventually what I'm going to have is when you go to the VR Game Rankings website, there's going to be a little section in the corner where it's going to say VR365, and it's going to have the latest episode, and it's going to be updating on the website there. And so there will be that synergy between VR Game Rankings and VR365, which is why I wanted to have some type of, I wanted to have the logos kind of reflect each other a little bit. And I've already gone over to VR Game Rankings and I've already changed the website just a tiny bit. All I did was basically just change the basic logo. I've also changed the color background. You guys can check it out over here, VR Game Rankings. We're still making sense of the VR gaming landscape. This is not a finalized thing at all. It's just, I'm unveiling the VR365 logo, the VR365 name, and VR Game Rankings is not going to be left behind as well. It's going to have a brand new logo. This is the brand new logo, VR Game Rankings. So it is an exciting day for the entire, basically the entire brand, so to speak, blah, blah, blah. Look, the bottom line here, folks, is nothing is really changing, all right? Let's not kid ourselves. Nothing is really changing. It's gonna be the same show. I do this Monday through Sunday. I will change my Discord thing a little bit. I'll be changing some stuff. And, yeah, it might be kind of unfortunate that sometimes you guys are going to have to bounce over to a new YouTube channel and all of that. And my plan is I'm going to be here at VR Game Rankings up until Monday. On Monday, it's VR365. Now, what I will do is I will still load an episode of the, I'll try to upload both of the episodes, both the full length and the condensed versions, on the VR Game Rankings YouTube channel, on this YouTube channel. Maybe for like 2 weeks I'll do that, but then I'm going to stop. And it's basically all about VR365. I don't know how many people are going to join us on this new channel. I've got like 2,900 subs, but I kind of fall back 2,800 and something, 2,900, 2,800 and something. It's kind of been waffling in that kind of neighborhood. Yet, if you look at the view counts for this show, I'm getting like 300 or 400 views for the show daily, and then like 100 for the 20-minute version. So my viewership is gone way the hell down, but the subscribers have not left in mass. I have no idea what is going to happen over at VR365. I might have like 500 subscribers, or who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen. But we're just going to start over, and I'm sure everybody will eventually find us. It'll all work itself out. Yeah, Sebastian is checking in. He's saying he will join. Congrats on the new channel. Yeah, Sebastian, it's not really a big deal. It's basically something that has been in the works for a long time, and I just want to do it. Get it over with. Don't have a great intro. By the way, Sebastian, I got to tell you, MRTV, I love your logo for MRTV and your intro with your logo and everything. I actually saw that not too long ago. I was watching an MRTV episode, and when the logo came on and all that, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a nice logo. I like that. I really like that. And I was already in the motion of doing what I was doing with the logos that I had to come up with, but I saw your logo and I was like, your intro and all of that. And I thought, that is a sweet logo. I like that. Let's see here. So anyways, yeah, that is the whole VR365 thing. We'll go back to our standard logo. Yeah, baby, that's my logo. That's the logo for VR365. That's the logo that I want to have on t-shirts. I'm probably going to order myself a couple black t-shirts with that logo on it, a couple of white t-shirts with that logo on it, and almost have like a uniform for doing my shows. I won't be wearing them every single day, but I'll have some VR365 t-shirts, so I'm looking forward to that. So it is the start of a brand new era. All right, let's go ahead and get back to actual VR gaming, right? There is something that we cover. It's called VR gaming. So let's go ahead and go back to it. Now, am I prepared for today's show? Hell no, I'm not. I am not prepared at all. I've been working on all these VR game ranking things, screwing around with logos and screwing around with YouTube channel art and all these things. So I'm not very prepared. However, what I did do is I did grab a trailer for a new PlayStation VR game that I believe is available today, Paper Dolls. Let's check this out. Alrighty, that is Paper Dolls. It is available now for PlayStation VR. It actually came out yesterday. Let me just bounce over to that real quick. So here is Paper Dolls. It is $17. That is the normal price, but it is 10% off. You can get it for $15.29 right now. And Winking Skywalker Entertainment Limited is the company that is releasing this. And you know what? They've released a number of PlayStation VR games. They released The Walker. They released 18 Floors, I think it is. And they've released Paper Dolls. So they've been putting out a lot of these games. They're definitely banging away at it. I wasn't a huge fan of The Walker, but they did put out The Walker as well. And so that is Paper Dolls. I was just going to go ahead and run that because I did happen to have one actual trailer lined up. And Kev Gretz says Paper Dolls has one of the wackiest control schemes in VR yet. So cumbersome. Yeah, I have not personally tried it. Let's see. So somebody says, are you going to talk about Star VR? Is there some brand new Star VR news that I haven't heard of? I know there is a topic that I did want to get into that I found rather interesting. Let me see if I can bring this up again. Okay, have you guys heard about Project Prism? Project Prism is one of the more interesting things that I've heard about. I'm going to go ahead and switch over here. This is Project Prism. It is Microsoft Research. And so what happened is back in early 2016, a team at Microsoft began developing augmented reality headsets by adding stereo cameras to existing VR headsets. And so this was the goal. The goal was they wanted to have a low-cost camera module that would add roughly $40 in parts in cost to a VR headset, a wide field of view achieving at least 100 degrees horizontally and vertically, and they wanted it to be able to work in full sunlight with truly opaque synthetic imagery. This improves color rendition and contrast of synthetic imagery even indoors. And these are some of the early prototypes. This one you can see is connected to an HTC Vive. This one might be like a DK2 or something here, or maybe that's a Rift that has a different head strap on the back or something like that. And so these things have been added, And basically, what Microsoft has been screwing around is they are building these prototypes, and they still got a long ways to go. This is a project that is nowhere near completion. They're still working on this. But one of the beautiful ideas, this is their newest prototype, I believe, right here. It uses a Samsung, I believe, and then it's got these cameras that are attached to it, and they have it on an Acer here with a backpack PC. Approximately 40 of these headsets have been produced. They're being used for research purposes in various groups inside Microsoft. They are actively developing future prototypes with latency in the 5 to 10 millisecond range, and high resolution prototypes will be made as the resolution of off-the-shelf HMDs increases. So they're working on this, and this is something to keep our eyes on, because I honestly believe, I think a lot of people don't realize that AR is going to be coming to VR headsets, and AR is going to be a very big part of VR headsets over the next 4 to 5 years. AR is going to start to integrate into the regular VR headsets, and it's going to really be a pretty big game changer, because the kind of AR that we've been dreaming about with HoloLens and Magic Leap, but even beyond that, like what we've really been dreaming about with AR, is to have a 100-degree field of view and to be able to have all kinds of digital VR type things come into our real reality. And that is going to happen a lot sooner. I mean, it's going to be a lot more affordable and a lot more dynamic with the field of view with VR than it is AR. It's going to take AR a long time, like legit AR, true AR, to have these huge giant field of views. It's going to take an awful long time for that to happen. But with VR, it could happen a hell of a lot faster. And the HTC Vive Pro, of course, you know, it has a couple cameras right on the front. What is it? The Vive Focus, I believe has cameras right on the front. And that's where we got to go. Now, these are much better cameras that they're using here. They're probably getting much better stereo vision. This is how they've made it smaller. Going back over here, this is they've made it a lot smaller now. But in the beginning, you could see gigantic ass cameras were attached on top to try to get the best kind of a stereo image. But that's going to be interesting. I'm excited for Project Prism from Microsoft Research. This is more of like a long-term thing. Like, they don't have any kind of consumer product that is coming from this. This is just stuff that they're working on. So it might be a couple of years away, but tons of different companies are working on this. So that is going to be exciting. That is going to be thrilling. Certainly interested in that. Okay, why don't we go ahead again? I have not checked on any news really today. Let's go ahead and bounce over to Upload VR and see what some of the newest stories are going on. So they're talking about 5 scary VR videos to spook yourself silly this Halloween. Let's see what they're actually recommending. There's a lot of good demo material actually in VR that is very horror related, like 360 videos and stuff that actually aren't too bad. And The Conjuring 2, I'm not sure if this is the one that I experienced that was actually really quite cool. There's a handful of 360 videos that aren't that horrible, and it might have been The Conjuring 2 that was the one that I'm thinking of. The Nun, Escape the Abbey 360, I don't think I've checked that out. And then there's It, Float, a cinematic VR experience. Don't believe I've checked this one out. A Haunted 360 roller coaster. Have not checked that one out. The Exorcist 360 experience. I don't even think I've checked this one out. The only one I've checked out here, I believe, is The Conjuring 2, and I can definitely recommend that. One of the better 360 videos I've ever seen, honestly, if it's the one that I'm thinking about. But these are some of the scariest VR videos you could possibly check out on Halloween. Legends of Catalona is an intriguing new take on virtual tourism for PlayStation VR. Well, this is kind of cool that this is for PlayStation VR because a lot of times I don't know that we've seen a lot of virtual tourism type stuff on PlayStation VR. But this is interesting. I'm not sure when this is going to be. Okay, this is launching on November 2nd for PSVR, and it will be free. All of a sudden, my throat is like killing me. Let me grab some water. Okay, I did hear about this. Facebook is making a massive new reality lab. This is going to be not too far from Seattle. This is up in, I believe, Redmond, Washington. Facebook Reality Labs currently has 67 jobs listed in Redmond, many of which concern both AR and VR. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a major investment that Sega's going to have. That Facebook is going to have going forward. Sega, what the hell ever happened to Sega, ladies and gentlemen? But Facebook is all in. They're all in. They're pot committed. And the thing that's probably going to disappoint a lot of you guys is, I'm telling you, a lot of the money that Facebook is spending is not VR, it's AR. Because face it, Facebook is starting kind of from scratch on AR. They didn't hire a bunch of people from Magic Leap and HoloLens. Like, they were focused on VR in the beginning. And so they're a little bit behind in AR, but I'm sure they've gone on an absolute hiring tear and have been hiring AR people up the yin-yang. But I can tell you that Facebook is definitely going to be very involved in AR going forward. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see them have some type of AR headset at some point, but they're probably going to take their time a little bit. They probably don't want to come out with something that looks kind of janky, so they will have to take some time there. Going back over to Upload VR, I was just trying to see if there were any other stories that were kind of interesting. Skybound launches new VR horror series Delusion via Samsung VR. And then, of course, yeah, we do have that Lenovo. So here's the thing. I mean, if you look at the Lenovo Mirage Solo, they basically copied PlayStation VR, but they licensed the patent, so it's all good. So that's kind of what we found out there. That there's nothing earth-shattering going on over there. Nothing really to worry about over there as far as that is concerned. Okay. So I wanted to go back over here and check chat. Kevgret says, Legends of Catalonia looks stupid. Wait, it's free? Can't wait to try it. Yeah, that, these free things, it's always nice to try these free things. Eventually, we're going to have to figure out a way to pay money for these free things. I mean, they need to not be free forever, but right now, a lot of this stuff is going to have to be free because it's a lot of experimentation that is going on. And MainFan says Sega is still making arcade games. And Greg's VR says Sega have such an awesome arcade library and they're doing nothing with it these days. Well, according to MainFan, they are making arcade games in Japan. That's true. VRium says, but VR is AR and vice versa. Yeah, it is, but it does feel like early on we're kind of in these two camps. You have certain people that are really backing AR and they're really into AR, like Noah, for example. He kind of bought into the whole entire Magic Leap thing and really jumped in on AR. And then you have most of us, we're all diehard VR players. I'm interested in both. I want to see a legitimate AR project come out. Chris Cox says, did you try the Bond? No, I wanted to try it and I just didn't get around to it. Unfortunately, I did not try the Bond yet. I should have tried it. Major mistake on my part not to try it. I should be talking a little bit about the Bond on here. But yeah, there's AR people, there's VR people, and it's kind of two separate camps. And I think you have companies that are buying into AR or VR, and you have some of them that are buying into both. Now, obviously, we all know that 10 years from now, AR and VR is going to be like it's not even going to be a thing. AR isn't going to be a thing. VR isn't going to be a thing. I don't know if it's going to be mixed reality or cross reality or XR or whatever it ultimately ends up being called. But basically, we are going to have headsets 10 years from now that you're simply going to dial in how much of the outside reality you want and you're going to be able to dial in how much of a virtual reality that you want. And it's basically going to be a slider. You're going to be able to go 100% VR and be completely blocked off from your outer reality, or you're going to be able to turn in 100% pass through basically and only have a few digital things bouncing around. And so it's going to be a hybrid type of thing. I mean, that is the long-term reality of VR and AR. So they're really not competing against each other. Where I see the competition is AR is going to be used during the daytime in your normal daily life. There will eventually be a time where all of us will have glasses on our heads, very similar to those Intel Vaunt style glasses. That's how small they're going to be. And we're going to be wearing glasses around all day long, everywhere we go, and information is going to be popping up everywhere. AR-based type information, and you're going to be paying a service for this. This is basically going to be your new phone. It's basically a phone on your face, and that is going to be AR, and you're going to use that during most of the day. You're going to use that when you're in your living room, when you're in your backyard, walking around town, in your car, everywhere. That is what people are going to be using. And then, but here's the deal, VR is going to be, okay, now it's time to play. Now it's time to play. It's time to go into your VR room, and it's time to get your VR on. And so I think of it in the same way that, think about your normal daily day today. You're walking around with your phones all day long, and then maybe at like 9 p.m. at night, it's time to watch a Black Mirror episode. Or it's time to play Red Dead Redemption 2, you know, your big screen TV, your sofa, and all of that. That's kind of the world of today. Now, I know our world is we're looking at our cell phones during the day, and then when we have free time, we're in our VR rooms, and we're playing Windlands 2, we're playing Transference. But for the average gamer out there, they're playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and they go to their man cave, they go to their little home theater room or their living room or their family room or wherever they have the biggest TV set up and the best sound system, and they're sitting on a couch, and that's kind of what it is. And I believe VR is the replacement for that. And AR is a replacement for our phones. And there's going to be headsets that are slightly more dedicated to that VR experience and headsets more dedicated to AR. And so you're still going to have a dedicated VR headset, I think, for the ultimate pure VR experience where it won't really be concerned with weight and stuff so much, as AR is going to be very, very concerned with weight. Okay, Steve is checking in. And, yeah, Steve says, I should have been able to guess VR365. We tried buying that .com back in the day. Yeah, it is I've looked into that .com. It's very expensive because it's very short. But I don't know. I thought of VR365. I forget when I thought of it, but it just seemed to make so much sense to me. I can't believe anybody else hasn't taken it. If you're going to do a daily VR news program, VR365 all the way live. VR 3333666665555555 all the way live. VR365. But yeah, Steve is coming up, folks. Steve, when is your show going to start? In about 24 minutes or so. Your show's going to start right around noon, right? So I'm going to wrap this show up before you get your show going. And Steve says, well, no one is really doing a daily news program. Epix did do it at VR360 with 5 days off. Yeah. Epix used to do a daily news thing, but yeah, no, he doesn't really do daily news. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I figure, look, I'm here every day anyway. I'm here Monday through Sunday anyway, so it really is 365. You know, it really is 365 days a year. Okay, let's see. I was looking for some other news things. Sorry for the shit shows, guys. I've kind of gotten back to the shit shows, and part of that has been some of these background things going on. So this was kind of hectic, like, you know, announcing this new logo and all that and switching up the VR Game Rankings website and stuff. So that has caused a little bit of some issues. I was trying to look over here. So I'm over here on Road to VR just to see what they got going on. Now, here is a bit of bad news. IMAX has shuttered their VR experience center in New York. No new VR investment. Let's see here. Let's click on this in 2019. So last year, and this is straight up Road to VR. Much love to Road to VR. I'm sure you guys check them out on a regular basis. One of definitely a handful of my favorite VR gaming related websites is absolutely Road to VR. And they're saying last year, IMAX opened a number of VR experience centers in major cities across the world. Featuring stuff like Star Wars Trials on Tatooine and some of this stuff. But IMAX says the closure at AMC Kips Bay in New York comes as the conclusion of a pilot test. Here's a quote from an IMAX spokesperson. This was said to Variety. With the launch of the IMAX VR pilot program, our intention was to test a variety of different concepts and locations to determine which approaches work well. After a trial period with VR centers and multiplexes, we have decided to conclude the AMC Kips Bay 15 IMAX VR pilot run. So they've closed a number of IMAX VR centers. Apparently they closed 3 of them. 2 locations are in New York and one of them is in Shanghai. Only 4 of these centers remain: Toronto, LA, Bangkok, and Manchester. So, it's a continued scale back of VR, apparently, blah, blah, blah. But, not the greatest news, obviously. But there is going to be a growing period for these kinds of companies and for location-based entertainment. It is a growing period. It is going to be, it's going to take some time for all of this to work out. So I wanted to go over to, let's go ahead and check out the PSVR subreddit. I wanted to see if there was anything new that was going on the PSVR world. I was going to check over here real quick to see if there was any news. And then nothing really popping off over on PlayStation subreddit. Let me go ahead and check Oculus real quick. Okay, we can go ahead and bounce over here and just cover a couple of minor things. Let's see here. So, this is kind of interesting. This guy works in the construction industry in the UK, and the project he is working on has a virtual reality room, 7 square meters, and he's wondering if anybody else has seen anything like this. And if you click on it, it kind of shows this little virtual reality room. And people are and most of the people in chat are saying that's actually really small, especially for a university. And that all these other places have like a VR lab that is much bigger, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I happened to see that story real quick. Please do not show your friends games with locomotion for their first VR experience. This is actually probably a very, very good idea. I kind of ruined VR for this one guy. A buddy of mine, he's played a few VR games. Let me go ahead. I got to change this trailer because this thing's been running all day. Let's go ahead and grab a different trailer real quick. I'll throw limbs trailer on. Okay, I had a good buddy of mine come over, and he's tried some basic VR and like Gear VR and stuff like that, maybe Cardboard. He's tried a little bit of basic VR stuff. And I put this dude into Doom BFG, the VR mod for Doom BFG. I put him into Doom, and I didn't think it would be that big of a deal, and it wrecked his head, man. He could not handle it, because it was just like you take the Xbox 360 controller and you just push forward or back or whatever, and you can kind of turn. I told him, just turn your body and just push forward, but it wrecked his head something awful, and ever since then, he's been leery to trying any VR games. Like, I've wanted to put him into different VR games. He's like, I just don't think VR works for me. I get motion sick. I don't want to do VR anymore. And so it's like, I ruined VR for this guy. It's terribly unfortunate. But yeah, this is what this guy's saying. Do not show your friends games with locomotion for their first VR experience. it's probably not a good idea. You're probably much better off starting with putting people in something where you're teleporting around, or where it's a full scale room scale where they're just moving, they're just actually moving around. And then obviously you're going to have to be very careful about the cords. You're certainly going to have to be careful about the cords as well. So I don't know. Nothing really going on here on the Vive subreddit. I mean, the Oculus subreddit. Let me check Vive. They are talking about, there's a VentureBeat article. In 2018, VR stopped having potential and started being real. They started getting real. I haven't checked this article out. Do not know really what's going on with that. Vive's customer service is disgraceful. Yes, welcome to 2016. It's been crappy since the very beginning. Absolutely no question about it. So I don't know, not much going on. What is the news? I know I should have played the Bond. I should have had my takes on the Bond and some other stuff, but oh well. Ekin Hawk says, when do you guys think the first consumer headset with eye tracking will come out? Well, you know what? There is a consumer, well, calling it consumer is debatable, but there is a headset that has eye tracking that does exist. It is called the Magic Leap 1, and I believe it is only $2,300. But you know what? It's funny, the Magic Leap 1, I don't really feel like it uses it doesn't use eye tracking for foveated rendering at all, I don't think. It uses eye tracking for certain things that it does, but not for foveated rendering, which is normally something, that's what we're waiting for with eye tracking, right? Foveated rendering, and then also for being in certain games where in a social experience, having your eyes tracked would be really cool. When is the first legit consumer-based headset that's going to have that? That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, Star VR is supposed to have, or not Star VR, but Pimax. Isn't Pimax supposed to have eye tracking as maybe an optional accessory that you can possibly add later? But it's going to take a while. I was kind of hoping that the Oculus Quest would have built-in eye tracking. I kind of had this dream that if you're going to have a headset that's going to release in the year 2019 or later, you should have a couple of things built in standard. And the things that I think should be built in standard, eye tracking would be a great thing to have built in standard. I think AR pass-through is a must. And I think you really should have dialed in AR pass-through cameras. I think we need to start moving in that direction. And then the other thing I really wanted is I really want great hand and finger tracking, so that if you were to grab a headset and put it on and you're starting to use it and you don't have your controllers, or your controllers aren't charged up, or you're putting your grandma in VR. Do you really want to give a controller to grandma? No, you shouldn't have to give a controller to grandma. So I do believe going forward in the future, we need eye tracking, we need AR pass-through, and we need hand and arm finger tracking, accurate tracking, leap motion style that really tracks it well, so that you can do some simple experiences and not need a controller whatsoever. I really think we need those three things for future headsets. I said 2019, but I'm thinking it's more 2020. But HTC, Oculus, all of these companies need to start thinking about this. You need to start thinking about adding this. It's unfortunate that I believe we're going to have to wait for Oculus Quest 2 to get eye tracking, to get truly legit AR pass-through and truly legit hand and finger tracking. Now, I know it has some capabilities in those two areas. It doesn't have the eye tracking, but it does have some capabilities in those other two areas. But I think it's more experimental, especially based on that interview that the tested guys had with that one guy from Oculus. It really sounded like AR pass-through and hand tracking and all of that stuff is extremely experimental. And if it does come to the original version of Quest, it's coming a couple of years later, which is kind of unfortunate. So what are people saying over here? The Lab and the Blue are still my main starters for first-timers, and those are both very good suggestions because the lab, you can teleport around. It's very noob friendly. And the blue is basically a room scale experience. You can just kind of move around. Those are both great ideas. Absolutely. Those are good ones. Primordian is a powerful thing to put somebody in, but you are dealing, well, you could tell them, you don't need to use the locomotion. You could just kind of walk around a little bit. King Hell says we need pet sensors and a VR tracked keyboard. Yes, and you know what? I see a future for pets. I see a future for pets and our games and our entertainment. I think pets are going to be tracked. And in AR and VR, there's going to be collars that will have tracking, and your pet is going to be tracked. And what you could do is you're going to take your pet somewhere where they're going to create a 3D model of your pet. And then knowing exactly where the collar is on your pet's neck, they can recreate your pet so your pet is walking around. Imagine you're playing like that game Neon VR, where you're in this beautiful, lush world, and let's say you decide to sit down and you're relaxing in Neon VR next to these beautiful flowers and strange alien butterflies that are flying around you. Hopefully no enemies right there at that point in time. And you're just kicking back and relaxing, and then your cat walks over to you, because this has happened to me many times in VR. Has this ever happened to you guys? Has you guys ever literally sat down on the ground to just chill in a VR world? Have you ever tried doing that? Try it. Try it next time. Next time you're in Zing, the land beyond, and you're at the beach and the water is rolling in and out. My stomach is starting to make noises. Apologies. And I don't have an emergency banana close to hand, but it is 11:49. Steve's show is going to be starting soon, so I am going to wrap this up pretty quick here. But have you guys ever sat down on the ground? You're enjoying a nice beach in Zing. You're just chilling. I've done it where it's nighttime in Zing, and I'm kind of looking at the stars, and the water's just kind of going back and forward, and you could just Steve's show isn't coming up in 11 minutes? Is it 3 p.m. Pacific? Oh, man, I might have been saying his show. I thought his show was starting at noon. So, his show is hours from now. Okay, my apologies. I was thinking his show was like in 11 minutes. So anyway, but my stomach is growling. I am going to have to bounce out of here anyways. But have you guys ever chilled? You're sitting on the ground. You're enjoying this nice beach scene. Everything's awesome. And then you feel something fluffy rubbing up against you. That is my cat. She's fluffy as hell. And every once in a while I'll do that, and she comes rubbing up against me, and I feel her rubbing up against me, and I'm like, oh, my cat's here. My cat is here. And I've always thought, how cool would it be if my cat appeared in the game? So if I'm sitting there on the beach, I'm chilling on the beach, and I'm looking 5 feet over this way, and I start to see my cat walk over to me because she's entered the tracking area, and she's now being tracked. And it's created a 3D model of my cat. Or it could convert my cat into some kind of fluffy alien creature. So that would be pretty awesome as well. So anyway, that was my idea on pets. Now, the problem, I love dogs, but what I don't like is when you pet dogs, your hands get all nasty and dirty, and I don't want to get my hands all dirty on my VR controllers. So, Steve, before I check out of here, what time is your show? What time is your show? Have you said what time your show is? He says, my show is hours from now. For some reason, I thought it was 3 p.m. Eastern time, which wouldn't it be noon Pacific? But maybe it's 3 p.m. Pacific. Okay, 6 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so it's 3 p.m. Pacific. All right, Steve's show is 6 p.m. Eastern, much, much later. A lot of the UK people, Steve, are going to be asleep, right? You're probably going to be in bed at 6 p.m. Eastern time. The UK audience will really fall off a cliff, but you will have a pretty good American audience. Yeah, I'll definitely join you for your show. If I'm around at 3 p.m., I should be around. So if I don't have to, normally I have to pick up my kid from school about 3:20, but he might not need a ride, so I should be around. It'll be 10 p.m. in the UK, so some people will still be awake. All right, folks. Well, you know what? Somewhat of a shit show here today. No question about that. But it's an exciting episode for me for a number of reasons. Just because I do have this new YouTube channel. It is called VR365. So that new era is beginning. Guess what, folks? Job has just arrived. It's perfect timing. Job has just arrived. So we've basically avoided all of the Job noise for the most part here. But I wanted to go back over here to this channel. And there's Job. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the noise is coming in strong. So yeah, be sure to go over to VR365. We have 17 subscribers. Yay! 17 subscribers. We still don't have any views for any of our shows, but we've got 17 subscribers. So the VR365 era is begun. I know we can get that number up to 50. Come on, guys. I know we can get it up to 50. The VR365 era has begun, and it will begin on Monday. So that was the big news for today, and I am excited for that. All right, folks, I got to bounce out of here. I will be back tomorrow, of course, at 11 a.m. Pacific time. It will be November 1st. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a look at all of the biggest games that are coming in November. That's what I like to do on the first of the month. So we will definitely do that. I'm going to go ahead and bounce out of here now. Take it easy. Everybody have a good one. Let's see here. I should probably put my outro on real quick. Yeah, no, I'll put a link in the description. Sure. Absolutely. Oh, the Discord channel. Yeah, I'm working on that. Hopefully that will be available for tomorrow, a VR365 Discord channel. So hopefully I'll have that ready for tomorrow. But anyway, guys, yeah, I got to bounce out of here. I will see everybody tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Be sure to watch Steve's show later today at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. He will be talking all about the Samsung Odyssey Plus, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Samsung Odyssey Plus. So look forward to that. See you guys then. Take it easy. Later.